Welcome back. I'm glad to be back. About a month ago, a little less than a month ago, my wife and I both contracted COVID-19, and that kind of put us down for a while. It's not a nice disease. Fortunately, you know, what we got wasn't as bad as what a lot of people get, but it's a tough thing to deal with for a couple of weeks, and so I was out of the picture when it came to doing any videos. And of course, at the same time, I'm getting behind on all my normal springtime chores. I wanted to really get some tomato seeds planted down in the basement and get them started and all that stuff, but that's not going to happen, I don't think, because there's just too many other things going on. I haven't even got the garden tilled yet. And so everything kind of gets behind. But in the meantime, I acquired, and thanks to my Patreon subscribers who have helped me out, I was able to get this Ruger Mini-14 birch stock. It's a factory-made Ruger birch stock, hardwood stock. And you've seen the rifle before. I presented this Mini-14 with my synthetic stock, with the original synthetic stock that it came with. I've actually got that with me. What I want to do is do some just comparative testing. You know, this is not a absolute test by any means. You know, a scientific test would involve a number of different rifles, and you know, so you'd have a broader scope of testing platform. But what we have here is my own Mini-14 that shoots as it does, and I've got this new birch stock and the original synthetic stock, which I showed you how I glass bedded. So I'm going to put the test to the both of them and see which one this rifle prefers. I can tell you which stock I prefer immediately. This birch stock is something that really, to me, enhances the rifle in a number of ways. It's certainly not lighter. It weighs almost 3/4 of a pound more than the synthetic stock, so it's a little bit heavier. But that means it also it's a little bit quicker shoot. It should be quicker shooting because it adds that extra weight. I can tell you that the fit of this stock and barreled action was absolutely superb. I could not have asked for a tighter fit if it was glass bedded. I mean, it went in with a firm snap, and it bottomed absolutely perfectly. I'm thrilled by the way this fit up, and if that is any indication of the potential for accuracy, I wouldn't be surprised. Let me say too, just as a, you know, I like to provide some sort of a reasonable benchmark whenever we're talking about military style rifle accuracy. You know, this is not a military rifle by any means, but its design was loosely based upon the military M14. Sometimes the military M14 carries such an enormous amount of nostalgia with it because of its time in military service that people don't really understand the true nature of its accuracy potential. The military only required that Springfield Armory produce rifles that would be capable of 4 minutes of angle. That's 4 inches at 100 yards. That was the standard of accuracy. And of course the testing was done oftentimes on a random basis out of a given lot of rifles. It wasn't necessarily done with every single rifle. The truth be known that you know, 6 inches was as common as 5 with those rifles, with service military ball ammo. They weren't supremely accurate. Anybody who thinks that their days in the Army or the Marines that they had a terrifically accurate rifle because they scored expert, well, let me shed a little bit of light on that. A military bullseye target in the day of the M14 had a 9-inch bull. A 200-yard target had a 9-inch bull with a 3-inch X-ring and a 7-inch 10-ring. So basically, 3.5 MOA, with 3.5 MOA, you could score high expert all day long, because expert didn't require a perfect score. You know, you could have a number of 9s and even 8s thrown into the mix and still score expert in the military. So, you know what, and nobody in the military, whether it's the Army or the Marines, nobody ever walked forward to check their score. There was a pit crew back there at 200 meters or 200 yards, and they dropped the target down on rails and scored it, and sent the score back by telephone, by wired, basically direct wired telephone back to the bench, and the scoring was done that way. You know, and if you missed the target, they threw up Maggie's draws. It was a red flag. They called it Maggie's draws. So that wasn't my day. I came in on the cusp of the M16, but I know full well on how that was done. I've read much about it. I had a captain when I was a young patrolman who had served as a major in the Army, and he spoke often about the scoring practices and the accuracy potential of those rifles, including the M1 Garand. And he was honest about it. He said that, you know, for battle rifle, accuracy was superb. Battle rifle. That does not mean, you know, accuracy on a supreme level that's compared to, say, bench rest shooting in our day and age, which is looking for MOA accuracy, 1 minute of angle at 100 yards or better. It's not the sort of accuracy that the military ever sought. Again, 4 MOA was the standard of accuracy. So that meant at 200 yards, an 8-inch group. So, you know, that certainly would provide the basis for accuracy sufficient to score anybody who could shoot very well with an expert badge. So you got to keep that in perspective. So while I certainly wouldn't want to have a rifle that could only be capable of 4 MOA, I hope that this will do an awful lot better than that. So we're going to test it first. I'm going to shoot a few different shots down there. I've got my drone with me, so I'm going to send the drone down so it can zero in on that target, and you can see what it's doing. I plan not to shoot down the drone. That's for sure. So anyway, let me get that set up, and we'll be right with you. Okay, we're signed in on 12 GPS satellites. So I guess we're ready to go. Starting her up.
Take off.
Now we'll head her straight out there. The sun is really shining in this screen here, so right behind me. So that's recording. I'll turn my hat around, put my hearing protection on, and we'll commence firing in a moment. And by the way, these are, I wanted to put the rifle to a little bit tougher test. This is not to see how perfectly it can shoot. This ammo is my hand-loaded ammo. I use CFE 223 powder, and I've got some 55 grain pointed soft point boat tail bullets. They're very much like jacketed full metal jacketed bullets, but I like to have the soft point for in case I want to do any hunting with it. The same price, and they're bulk. And also the brass, they're mixed brass, so there's a little of everything in here. There's some Federal cartridge brass, there's Remington, Winchester, there's even some military brass and foreign brass. So what you see is what you're going to get. So this is not, I didn't want to pull out all stops and put the best stuff in here because I just wanted to see what the rifle was capable of doing with, you know, just garden grade ammo. So, some other day we'll do a test and see how superbly it can shoot with using the very best. And I can see my drone down there. It's situated about 3 feet above the target. I'm going for the top left. That's my 5th and last shot. So, we'll put another 5 rounds in it. Again, this is you know, one of the things that's often spoken about the Mini-14 is that after the first few shots, you know, shots start going wild. So we'll just see if that's what it does. That's what it does. But this is, again, this is the birchwood stock. I like it a lot. It's it just shoots nicely. And by the way, the length of pull on this is actually a 1/2 inch greater. I'm sorry, it's a 3/8 of an inch greater than my M1A. There's a good reason for that. The military keeps all its stocks rather short so that any person can be able to handle it. So it's got a longer length of pull. That is from butt to the trigger, and it handles nicely. The weight of it is nice. Well, I would say that's 10 shots relatively rapid fire. That would certainly be called rapid fire in any competition. Beyond that, that would be extremely rapid fire. So, there we are. I'm going to change this stock off now and put the synthetic stock on. We'll bring the drone back and put that to rest for a minute.
Landing.
There we go. Well, as you can see, I got my original synthetic stock back on here. Take my hearing protection off before I blast you. The length of pull is not as good. It's a shorter length of pull by about 3/8 of an inch, which makes it roughly the same as a M14 or an M1A. The length, not only is the length different, but the drop in comb is a little bit lower, so it's not as comfortable to shoot at the bench. It's a little bit too low. Not that it's going to mean anything with the gentle recoil of a 223 or 5.56. This is basically 223 velocity ammo. I've got my drone parked down there a few feet from the target, ready to examine the target and see what it's doing. And we'll fire another 5 rounds with this rifle and then reload and do another 5 and see how it does. This is not normal appurtenance for this rifle. I typically don't have a scope on my Mini-14 or on really any battle rifle, like a AR-15 or anything. I typically like to have them just sans scope with open sights. I just love shooting open sights, and there's nothing, I mean, there's no distance that, you know, out to 200 yards I can hit very well with open sights. So anyway, but this is for testing and evaluation purposes. Let's see how it does. And by the way, I took my own caution and put my protective eyewear on. I forgot to put it on before I fired those last shots. So here we go. Let's see what it does. Target top right. A little bit more, not much, but a little bit more kick. It wouldn't be as fast in rapid fire. We'll change out the magazine as quickly as we can so I can continue to fire and keep that barrel cooking so we can say what it does in real life circumstances. Again, remember, you know, these rifles were not made for precision accuracy. They were made for what they are. They're utility rifle and utility self-defense, and it's got all the accuracy necessary for that. I can see the drone in the scope. It's sitting about 2.5 feet above the target. It's got a fantastic trigger. This is a, I mean, it's every bit as nice as my Geissele triggers have been, and my M1A trigger. Very crisp, very, very nice two-stage military trigger. That's it. Did I fire? Maybe I didn't fire all of them. Let's see it. Let's see if I thought I had counted 5. We did now. Okay. And let's bring the drone back and give the battery a rest. Let's go one further. I'll dig out my AR-15. I've got a AR-15 that I built a few years ago, and it's just it's a non-free floated barrel. I wanted to have something that was a little bit reminiscent of my M16 days. I'm not looking for pinpoint accuracy that a free floated barrel will give. I just wanted to have a little bit of the authenticity of that feel of the military stock. So let's check that out. Put this up for the time being. So this is my build. You can see I got a little bit of detail on here. 25th Infantry Division, Tropic Lightning, and on the inside, 25th MP Company, Cu Chi, Vietnam. There's a little special treatment I put on it. And it's got a standard collapsible stock. I've got a Palmetto State Armory M4A1 carbine marked receiver. I hope I'm pointing that in the right direction. And also too, it's marked safe, semi, and auto. Not that it is. This is not a M16 receiver. It could never be made into an M16 receiver. It's just there for gags. So, but it's a little bit of everything. It's like Johnny Cash's Cadillac. It's got parts from everybody. I've got a bent trigger guard, larger and large trigger guard. But I like it. It's nothing special. It's more conventional than it is anything else. It's just a standard. It's just a standard AR-15. Too many M's floating around. So anyway, let's give this a try and see how this compares with the Mini-14. And, okay. For those of you who don't know me, the AR style rifle goes back a long way with me. When I entered the service, the M16 had just been issued, so you know, to the Army on a standing basis. So I was on the cusp of the change. So we have a lot of time together, going back over 50 years. The AR-15 is nothing new to this guy. Now I've got a scope on here, as you can see. I purchased one. I don't typically use it, but it's there in case I want it. This is a 4.5 power scope, so it's plenty magnification. I can bisect that. I can make that little dot in the middle of the bottom left target into a pie. So, and this is a Geissele trigger. I don't know how this scope is sighted in. I've had it off and on so many times. So we're not worried about where it's shooting, but how it's shooting. I truly hope they're hitting the paper. That's the main thing. So, we're empty. This is a 10-round magazine. I love it for shooting at the bench because it doesn't get in the way of things. Sometimes the 20-rounder, even the 20-rounder will hit this. So it's nice to have for field use. Nice and light. So, well, you got to see this before I did. I couldn't see these shots on paper. I just measured this with my scale here, and I've got 5 shots all within an inch center to center or less. This one here is 1.25 inches out, and this one here is just another 1/8 of an inch out. And as you can see, I've got 3 shots, which I would declare those to be possibly ammo related, because as I say, I had just mixed brass, and that could very, very well be changes in the capacity of each case. That's the Mini-14 with the Ruger birchwood stock. That's fabulous match grade accuracy inside here. You could take that to any CMP competition you ever wanted to, because you're not going to be let in because it's a non-military rifle. But it would do the work. It would do the work. Here's my glass bedded stock. I'm not thrilled. I had a previous Mini-14 that I glass bedded, and apparently I did a better glass bedding job. This is not this is substandard. But as you can see, it's also throwing the shots into a different location. Obviously, it's due to probably the stock flexibility. Flexibility of a stock, you know, contributes much to inaccuracy, just as much as a bedding job does, because the whole idea of bedding is to have firmness between the stock and the barreled action to make them one. So if you've got a flexible stock, and you know, the Mini-14 stock, the synthetic stock, is stiffer than many synthetic stocks out there, but obviously it still can't hold a candle to the burst stock. So that's fantastic. And here's the AR-15. Actually not great. All the spattering, by the way, is from the, I was doing a little bit of playing around afterwards with the steel target. Actually, I was doing some steel target shooting just to verify where I was hitting with the scope, because I had just put it back on. So as you can see, you know, the accuracy there is on the order of 3 MOA, which isn't bad, you know, certainly within military standards. But that's a non-free-floated stock. That's just a standard style M16. It's a mid-size, mid-length stock. But that's where your forend comes into play, by not being free-floated. So there it is. Now, well, we'll see how this tech sight is sighted in. I haven't had a chance to do anything more than mount it. So, and I put my bore collimator on it to see. I gotta put my hearing protection on. So I got my 1-inch Garand style sling, and let's see how it goes. Wow. Well, that's 4 for 5. First one I held a little higher, and I suspected it was going high just by the way the dirt flew behind it. So let's see how these go. I probably need to drop that down by, I like to hold it kind of a tight 6 o'clock hold on a black bull, so I'm giving it some air. A little bit more daylight than I like. Of course, as long as I know we're shooting. Let's see. She's swinging now. I missed on that one. All right. That's the end of my ammo. Great gun. Great fun. So by now, you're chafing at the bit to know which one I'm going to recommend. I'm not going to play that game. No, not me. The AR-15, I love shooting it, otherwise I wouldn't have made one. I've had more than one. I had another one that was a Colt. It was a beautiful one that I just sold recently to one of my viewers. But having said that, and as much as I enjoy the AR-15 design and platform and its engineering and everything, my personal druthers go to a conventionally stocked rifle. And now that I've had this birch stock on here and seen how it shoots, this is certainly very, very happy combination for me. Its shoulder's very nice. It's just a natural. I mean, I can sling this over my shoulder. It just feels natural. It feels like every rifle I had when I was a kid. It's just handy. It feels nice. I mean, there's no sharp edges. I don't have a collapsible stock, no, so I can't be wearing body armor and, you know, dressing up and playing army. I did that already. I'm not interested in that. So my own personal favorite would be this Mini-14, and the way it shoots is absolutely delightful. I discount those 3 shots that went outside the norm for what they were. I have mixed brass of all kinds in there, and some of that is military brass that can reduce the case capacity significantly. So it's a great rifle. The cartridge is a great cartridge. There's nothing substandard about it for any kind of field work. It's just a handy gun to have. It's a very, very nice rifle to me. I'm glad I got the woodstock. And I'm glad you're watching. I'm glad to be back after my dreaded COVID-19. That was not a nice thing to get. I've got a few things brewing right now. I ordered a wood-fired brick oven kit that I'm going to be building sometime as fast as I can, but that entails expanding my deck, which means digging footings in this region 4 feet deep. So I just recently excavated a big, enormous hole so that I can put my sonotubes, and I'm going to be covering it with a timber frame pavilion that I'll be making, you know, mortise and tenon style, big timbers. You know, the posts themselves are 8-inch by 8-inch, not nominal, not planed. This is rough sawn lumber, and the cross ties are 8 by 10s, and the plates and the ridge pole, they're 8 by 10s. The rafters themselves are 4 by 10s, so it's big stuff. So it's going to be fun to build. I'm going to try to film as much as I can. You know, filming entails taking time away from what I'm, you know, my work, and setting up the camera and all the things that attend to that. So as much as I can, I'll give a composite of the work as I go along. And from time to time, I'm going to try to get out and do some more shooting. I certainly want to do a lot more shooting with you. I thank my Patreon subscribers for helping me out. That monetary help purchased this stock, and it also enabled me to buy some ammo components so I could show you some shooting today. So that's that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that reminder bell. God bless.